upcoming semi-main event. 30-year-old Tracy Harris-Patterson against 23-year-old Arturo Gatti. Patterson 5 feet 5 inches tall. Gatti with a 3-inch height advantage. Patterson weighed in a quarter pound below the weight of Gatti, and they are equal in reach at 68 inches. Punch stat numbers, Larry.
These numbers will indicate that Gatti is more of a brawler and winger. Patterson more of the boxer. You can see the numbers here very close, but for a guy who throws a lot of heavy punches, Gatti lands a very high percentage. Take a look at the jabs and you'll see that Tracy Patterson, who can punch, works better off the jab. Patterson has fought much higher degree of opponents.
Rules of the bout with our unofficial ringside scorer, Harold Letterman.
The Tracy Harris-Patterson-Arturo Gatti fight is scheduled for 12 rounds. There is no standing 8 count, no 3 knockdown rule. Only the referee can stop the fight, and you cannot be saved by the bell in any round, including the last round. Jim.
All right, Harold, and one of the nice things about Madison Square Garden, relatively short walks to the ring from the fighters' dressing rooms. Here comes Arturo Gatti, born and raised in Montreal. His family has been related at times in the past via marriage to the famous Fighting Hilton family of Montreal, and he grew up sparring and fighting with some of the Hilton brothers, but he has now based himself in New Jersey looking for better fighting opportunities in the United States, and this is a young man potentially on the verge of stardom.
An exciting young fighter, started when he was 8 years old. Potential to be a big crowd-pleasing fighter, but he's going a step up in class tonight.
You look at the record for Arturo Gatti. His only loss was to a fighter named King Solomon, who laid a landmine for him in Philadelphia. Among those 20 knockouts, 14 of them in the first round. An exceptionally fast starter. And if you followed boxing in the state of New York for the past decade or so, you may be aware of Tracy Harris-Patterson, adopted son of former world heavyweight champion Floyd Patterson, coming off of that 7th round TKO against Robinales. Earlier on in the summer, he had a big win to seize his present 130-pound title over Eddie Hobson, a knockout that helped to rejuvenate Patterson's career. He had been in a little bit of a lull before then, and this is the first time he'll be fighting in Madison Square Garden since he won a Golden Gloves championship here in 1985.
His adopted Floyd Patterson, the former heavyweight champion, first man to recapture the heavyweight championship, now the commissioner of boxing here. But the human story is they don't speak. Young Patterson was part of a family of migrant laborers picking apples in northern New York when he wandered into Floyd's gymnasium. 3 years later, Floyd adopted him, was his trainer and manager until last summer. They had a parting of the ways, a parting that has not yet been breached.
And the record for Tracy Harris-Patterson, ring veteran with 58 professional prize fights, 39 knockouts among his 54 victories in the ring. And right now, let's go up to ring announcer Michael Buffer for the pre-fight introductions.
Ladies and gentlemen, Top Rank Incorporated, along with our undisputed, undefeated king of beers, Budweiser, this Bud for you, presents the return to the Mecca of boxing as the Friday night fights return to the most famous address in the most famous city in the world, Madison Square Garden, New York City, New York. This first bout is presented in association with Main Event, and tonight's entire show is dedicated to Top Rank and Madison Square Garden's greatest matchmaker watching at home tonight, Boxing Hall of Famer Mr. Teddy Brenner. This bout, as all bouts, are sanctioned by the New York State Athletic Commission Chairman, former 2-time world heavyweight champion of the world, Floyd Patterson, and the International Boxing Federation President, Robert W. Lee. Supervisor at ringside, Marion Mohammed. The 3 judges scoring this bout on a 10-point must system will be Leroy Brown, Melvina Latham and Steve Weisfeld. And when the bell rings, the man in charge of the action, referee Wayne Kelly. And now, ladies and gentlemen, from Madison Square Garden of New York City, 12 rounds of boxing for the Junior Lightweight Championship of the World. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing white, trimmed with blue, and weighing in at 130 pounds. Fighting out of Jersey City, New Jersey, he brings an outstanding record of 23 victories with only one defeat, and 20 of those 23 victories are by KO. Ladies and gentlemen, here is the I.IBF #1 ranked junior lightweight in the world, Arturo Gatti. And his opponent across the ring, fighting out of the red corner, wearing blue, trimmed with white letters, and weighing in at 129 3/4 pounds. His professional record also outstanding. 54 victories against only 3 defeats with 1 draw. Ladies and gentlemen, from Highland Park, New York, presenting 2-time world champion and reigning junior lightweight champion of the world, Tracy Harris-Patterson.
All right, Tracy, Arturo, we're boxing for the I.IBF Junior Lightweight Championship of the World. I expect a clean fight. Obey my commands at all times. Protect yourself at all times. Shake hands, come out boxing at the bell. Good luck, 12 rounds.
Jim, the building has done its part. The fans have done their part. It's up to the fighters now.
Let's go, seconds out.
We told you about how fast a starter Gatti is. He has a damaging left hook. He will come out and try to land it early. Patterson will look for Gatti to make a mistake and try to counter. He's particularly effective with the right hand.
Tracy Patterson could have been caught out balanced, hoping that this guy would charge him the first couple of rounds. This isn't happening so far. You prepare for one thing and you get another.
Gatti starting off with the jab. That could have surprised Patterson in previous fights. Gatti has often dispensed with the jab to go straight to the power shots. Now he's starting to work that left hook and mix it in with the jab.
The scariest thing to happen in the ring is to be caught by the unexpected. Patterson is being caught by the unexpected tonight.
And now Patterson appears to have decided that he's going to need to work his own jab and start his own offense, having seen something different than he might have expected from Gatti starting off. So far, Gatti continues to seize the initiative as he's getting off first when they meet in the center of the ring.
That's the only thing about being a good counterpuncher. You always got to wait until you're hit or someone miss you before you do something.
Stiff jab by Gatti. Patterson answers with a slightly more tentative version. Into round one, and Arturo Gatti, with a reputation in the background of a slugger, has been content to box so far, and effectively so. Patterson not terribly anxious to extend that jab, George.
Trying to get closer and wait until he can counter a shot. And this guy's got a good left jab, Gatti, and this left jab can do a lot of damage in 1 or 2 rounds. Swell your eyes.
You might have heard of a junior middleweight fighter named Lightning Joe Gatti, brother of, beaten in a title shot by Terry Norris a couple of years ago. boxing. Gatti landing in close. Throughout the first round, Arturo Gatti able to land with his jab and effectively counter on those occasions when Patterson has tried to get off.
How you feel? Looking very good. All I need you to do, don't worry about leading. Just take that jab on your hand. Don't bend down before he jabs, okay? Because you don't see what you're doing, okay? And throw me higher his shoulder, remember. Okay, you're doing good. Keep working that jab. You understand what I said? Hand high and throw me combination. Finish with the punch. You're fine. Right? You're the boss out there. Just hands up, move your head, always move in a little bit. You move your head. Move in, don't move it back out. Right? Okay.
We were told that Gatti was trilingual, raised in an Italian household. He speaks fluent Italian, raised in Montreal, speaks fluent French, also speaks fluent American, but we've seen here tonight that he speaks fluent boxing as well.
Though he dominated round one, Gatti comes back with a small mouse under his left eye. He's been throwing a relatively low number of jabs, fewer than 20 per round in previous bouts coming in. He threw 40 jabs in round one. So as George Foreman accurately pointed out, Arturo Gatti changing up on Tracy Harris-Patterson and thus taking the advantage early in the fight.
Patterson is having to wait until that jab makes some contact to his face or shoulder before he throws a punch. This is what caused him not to be consistent right now. He doesn't know when this guy is close enough to punch until he taps him.
What could he do differently, George?
He should just initiate the fight. Just get closer, stay closer with punches. Don't wait for the other guy.
Saw Patterson there with a right-hand lead. Hasn't tried that tactic much. Crowd beginning to boo, and down goes Patterson on an uppercut. He walks right into it.
5, 6, 7, 8. You feel all right, Tracy?
That's what I call quieting the boos before they can even gather any force.
Patterson's been knocked down in the past by Hector Acero and Daniel Zaragoza. So that's at least the third knockdown of his career.
He's spending a lot of time trying to get that range. And the punch that he was knocked down with wasn't a real hard shot. It was just right on the point of him trying to step in for extra closeness to get his shot in.
Now Gatti coming back with power shots again. Tracy Harris-Patterson standing in, and he lands a stiff jab. Sometimes a knockdown will motivate a fighter to step it up another gear and make him effective. Patterson looks a lot quicker on his feet now than he did before the knockdown.
Well, one thing about it, if you get into a fight with your kids, the parents have always got to initiate the conversation again. You just can't go on like this. That's affecting Patterson tonight. His dad right there, not talking to him. He's shy tonight.
That's a huge distraction, isn't it?
Right. Always go back and talk to your kids. I've learned that lesson tonight myself. I've been guilty, but I will change.
Tracy Harris-Patterson telling all reporters here in New York, not just us, that he hasn't spoken to his father for several months.
And it's up to the parents to go and initiate the conversation.
Now Patterson starting to land more effectively. That was a solid jab to the chin of Gatti. In this round, Tracy Harris-Patterson doing a lot better than he did in round one when he only landed 3 out of 21 attempted punches.
How you can get that stool up as a long run. Listen, all right, you're doing good. Keep those hands up. Give me a little outfeed. Yep. Get those hands up, okay? Get those hands up and move a little closer. So you got to make your move. Okay.
Take a look at knockdown as he comes through with a surprise uppercut right there. Just stunned Patterson momentarily. He was caught flat-footed with his feet square to the fighter. Beautifully conceived and beautifully delivered punch, George.
No doubt about it. Mouthpiece. All right, you're the boss.
All right, seconds out.
You're the boss out there.
An experienced warrior against a hungry young fighter. Right now, the hungry young fighter is ahead.
And as much talk as there was about De La Hoya and his arrival in New York for the past week, boxing people have been fascinated by this bout, which is regarded by a lot of experts as a pick-em bout. Hard to tell who's going to have the advantage. Hard left hook by Gatti. Patterson says when Gatti gets tired, he has a tendency to wing shots, and that should give him a better chance to counter up the middle. Gatti's urge to finish readily apparent every time he plants his feet and throws a combination. He's looking to knock the man out, George.
He's throwing a good left jab, and as he got Patterson trying to defend himself against that jab, he can sneak in anything else. Uppercut, hook, and that's what's doing it. The left jab, if only he would stop jabbing me, Patterson is probably saying.
Begins to work his own jab.
This is the first time that Patterson has started to take charge with his jab. But then he's having to step in, and this young guy is thinking, okay, now I can hit with uppercuts again.
Patterson aggressive for moments at a time, but then he tends to back off. Gatti is looking to do damage all the time.
See, Patterson, every time he throws a jab, he has to step in. Gatti, he just stands his ground and jab. So there's not much chance of him getting it, paying the price.
Round 3 coming to a close. The chance of a Gatti knockout statistically goes way down once you get past the 3rd round. Hard left hook, backs Patterson up, and now Patterson fires a hard left hook of his own. Hard right hand by Patterson, and Gatti stunned by that one. So finally, Tracy Harris-Patterson is finding the opportunities to counter George, and the complexion of the fight changes dramatically.
He's doing what he should have done initially. Get out there, jump on this guy. Don't wait on him to jump you. And sometimes the surprise is this is a fight. It's not a boxing match after all.
He's also begun to throw to the body every once in a while, and that's making a big difference in Patterson's attack.
Wait, I don't want you to go for the hard. Match it up first, okay? Relax, huh? Don't do me that mistake no more. Try to fight with him. Okay? Take run for run, I told you. You understand what I said? Relax. Looking good, okay?
12-round fight, buddy. Relax.
See? Work that jab. Work that jab. Fence. You don't know what.
The gloves. They're taking the gloves.
Let's watch Gatti in operation here. And there's the right hand, a good, stiff, hard, solid right hand. There's something going on in the corner. There's something going on in the corner of Patterson.
What they do? They cut his string. They cut it. You have an inspector in there. That's his job. Hector, out of the ring. Out of the ring, Hector. Out of the ring. Out of the ring.
That's Gatti's trainer, Hector Roca.
Let's go.
Going berserk about what he saw happening in Patterson's corner. Now Roca.
So berserk that he forgot to put the mouthpiece in Gatti's face. Gatti gets it belatedly. Patterson waits like a gentleman. He better stop fighting like a gentleman.
How did Gatti's corner man get over in Patterson's corner? I'd like to know that.
He walked across the ring. And referee Wayne Kelly was quite solicitous in helping him back over to his corner, but didn't penalize him in any way.
He's been observing, which you ought to do when you got a fighter being worked on in the corner, but you're never supposed to step over there.
Do you have any idea, George, what it was that was going on in Tracy Harris-Patterson's corner that they were protesting?
Well, they were looking at his eye, and they may have been, the doctor's looking at his eye and may have been giving some advice or rubbing some extra grease on or anything like that.
Harold Letterman, did you see what went on over there?
To tell you the truth, Jim, no, but I'll tell you, Hector Rocco was really incensed at what was happening. The New York State Athletic Commission does put an inspector in each corner to make sure nothing phony goes on. And obviously, the inspector saw Tommy Parks in Patterson's corner stalling for time.
We think that it may have had to do with the removal of a strip of tape from Tracy Harris-Patterson's glove and a protest of the way that was done. Patterson is beginning to step up, getting a lot more effective. Remember, he was knocked down in round 2. Gatti clearly dominated round number 1, but Patterson began to land combinations in round 3, and now is fighting on a more or less equal level with Arturo Gatti.
That's true. But Patterson's still spending the evening trying to counter that left jab. That may get him into a little extra trouble. Should keep it up, step up the pressure, keep up the pressure.
On the other hand, George, the swelling increases under Arturo Gatti's left eye. Counter right hand by Gatti landed in there. Patterson's left eye beginning to swell up just a little bit, so both fighters have some swelling and damage around the left eye.
Now, this was the first time that Gatti reached in with his right uppercut. So he's telling off what he's trying to do now. Patterson can think now. Patterson has taught him to go to the body. Claude Patterson, that is. Those body punches is probably going to pay some dividends about right now.
Hard left hand by Tracy Harris-Patterson. Remember, Tracy said when Arturo Gatti gets tired in the middle rounds, he starts to make mistakes. Gatti still throwing hard left hooks to the body and the head. Neither fighter has ever been knocked out.
All right, that's better, huh? Let me see that.
How much of that is still there? You got to tape it up. You got to tape it up.
Yeah.
Don't take that tight.
Just a little tape. Don't tape it up.
I know, I'm not.
All right.
No, you do it around again. You
Go way around, but do it lightly.
All right.
Okay, Swayze, I want you just to keep your hands up. You're beginning to counter now, right? That's what you got to do. Just pay attention. Is that better? Yep. Listen, mouthpiece. Pay all 5 rounds. Okay?
All right.
Looking good. You know how to try to knock him out. Match it up. Okay, the knockout come along, baby. Okay, use it, baby. Looking great. Okay? Looking great.
Okay.
Round for round, huh?
Right now? Once again, they were examining Tracy Patterson's right glove. After 4 rounds, Harold Letterman, how have you scored the fight? Larry, 40-35, 4 rounds to nothing, Arturo Gatti. I think he's clearly winning this fight with that left jab. He's keeping Patterson on the end of the jab and just jabbing him to death. Tracy's got to get busy. But I tell you, I'm very, very critical of the Gatti corner. They're not getting the cut man in front of Arturo. They got to put ice on that swelling and get the swelling on the left eye down.
Big change in tactics so far in the fight by Arturo Gatti, who's keeping it up, throwing an average of more than 40 jabs per round. He has not been this kind of fighter in the past.
Patterson still believes that if he can counter that left jab by Gatti just once, he can change this fight. And that gamble may be 2 or 3 rounds down the way. He may have lost his title. You got to get out there and initiate the right hand.
You're exactly right, George. He's got to make it happen, not wait for it to happen. I have it 3 rounds to and 1 round of a draw, 1 2-point round for Gatti. So Patterson's going to have to get busy soon.
There it is. He went on top of the left jab, the left hand for the first time. He believes there's more to it than that.
Now he lands the right hand over the left again. So Tracy Harris-Patterson has found an answer to how to counter the jab. If he can put the left hook to the body with it, he might do some damage. But now it's Gatti who's tripling up with the left hook.
He was successful that time because he didn't wait for the jab. He threw it anyway. But that Gatti has got some kind of heart. Someone has properly prepared him for this fight.
Seasoning and experience lie with Tracy Harris-Patterson. Arturo Gatti admitted to us yesterday that he's stepping up to another level in taking a fight against a quality fighter like Patterson, but he was excited about it and said, I'll be better than I've ever been. Hard right hand by Patterson. Gatti comes back with lefts again. Fast combination by Gatti.
When a guy's waiting on you to throw one shot, the way to whip him is to throw 3 shots every time. Jab, right hand hook. That's what Gatti's got to do. Patterson, once he gets that right hand over top of Gatti's left jab, he's got to come back with a hook quick. The right hand is coming, but nothing behind it.
Patterson steps in. Gatti lands 2 short punches. Arturo Gatti takes a left hand from Tracy Harris-Patterson, but stays on track. Patterson now jabbing over the top of Gatti's jab. 5 rounds complete. You're watching the 199th prize fight telecast on HBO, coming up immediately following. Our 200th fight features Oscar the Golden Boy De La Hoya, lightweight champion of the world, going tonight against former 130-pound world champion Jesse James Leha. Oscar has been a big hit with mass media in New York this week.
Hands up. When you get close to him now, you begin to take your punch a little bit. You got a lot of his strength on. But be careful. Hands are up. Make the move. Make the punch. Go inside. Give him something to go. Okay?
Come on, babe.
Like you're going to get close. Okay? Looking very good.
Tracy Patterson doesn't get busier soon. He will soon be an ex-2-time champion.
There's a veteran cutman, Percy Richardson, in Arturo Gatti's corner, but he's not doing a whole lot of work on Gatti's eye. You saw another veteran cutman, Al Gavin, putting ice on the right cheek and the inswell on the left eye of Tracy Harris-Patterson. There's a hard right hand over the top by Gatti.
Easily delivered because he knows Patterson is waiting to get on top of his left jab. Then just throw 1-2 combination. He's going to be there anyway, waiting. Patterson has got to start using his right hand and coming back with a hook. They don't have to be powerful, just sharp. He can get himself a knockdown.
So Gatti's showing an unusual grasp for the science of the sport in there tonight.
That's right. He is the boxer tonight, and he's looking like the guy with the good left jab, and he's boxing.
Patterson has a lot of experience going 10 or more rounds. He's done it 10 times in his career. For Gatti, it would be slightly different. Gatti has been 10 or more only twice, and only 3 times as far as the 8th round.
Patterson's left jab, once he delivers it now, is knocking Gatti's head backwards. Now that's something new.
Gatti leads with the left hook that time and lands it. Patterson was starting to block the jab, so Gatti said, I'll go around you. Hard right hand by Gatti. Patterson landing a counter. Lead by Patterson. Gatti wants to answer everything with hard left hooks.
What was impressive about that last exchange, George, was he threw 3 hard punches, and instead of lingering there looking for more, he got right out.
Great. And he can do that because he has the reach. Good right hand by Gatti that time.
And another right hand and two left hooks, and Patterson wobbles just a little bit and stops punching as Gatti's able to seize command again in the closing seconds of round number 6.
Good. That's it. Okay. 7 round coming. Okay. 7 round coming. So you win only rounds. Right? You understand what I say? The better you win in the decision, so you don't have to. You stay too much in this round. You get hit too much. Okay. You get hit too much in this round. You understand? You okay? Okay. Okay, baby. That's it. Quick combination and you jab.
All right.
Hey, once in a while, let me see you can mix it up. Don't try hard. If you can go to the body, don't go. But once in a while, try to do it. Okay? Don't try hard to do it. Just like that.
Hands up a double O jab. All right, seconds out. Step going with that jab.
Apparently, the corner of Gatti is also concerned that he should run out of steam. They're telling him not to get too exercised, to just stay cool. But pretty soon, Patterson's going to have to heat up and make something happen rather than wait for something to happen.
Barring some unusual scoring, Gatti can be expected to have a fairly comfortable lead on the scorecards right now.
And the thing about getting behind in a boxing match like this, more and more you dig yourself into a hole where you got to get a knockout.
Patterson leaping into a lead right hand and making it count. Gatti's left eye still badly swollen, but not shut yet.
Now, for the first time, Gatti went down to the body with a jab. He didn't put too much. He just put a little onto it, just like his corner told him.
What opportunities can that open up for him, George?
Oh, Patterson has been protecting his face all night. Now you start making him protect his body. That right hand by Gatti now can go straight in and get a quick knockdown again. Make him drop his left hand a little bit to protect his body. Well, a fighter never wants to be jabbed in the body. It's an insult.
When you see Oscar De La Hoya later tonight, you'll see a fighter who has grown and progressed enormously this year as a body puncher. Hard right hand counter by Patterson. Gatti again decides to answer with artillery. Recognizable impulse in a lot of young fighters, George. Every time he's hit hard, he wants to come back with 3 times as much.
You retaliate, and that's what an experienced fighter wants you to do. I hit you hard, please hit me back. You throw away a lot of your power and your strength, plus I can catch you in that exchange because I want to drop you. I don't want to just hit you back.
Patterson's confidence apparently rising again as he begins to throw more freely here in round number 7.
Another body shot. That body shot by Gatti hurt. With the right underneath that left jab, left elbow of Patterson.
Patterson lands a right hand. Gatti resisted the urge to step in and fire away with the left hook that time. Comes with the left hook to the body. Good body shot.
That's right. Now Patterson is thinking, hey, I've got to look out for this guy. He's hurting my body.
And Gatti goes back to the head and lands 2 combinations in a row. And a jab. Finally, Patterson stops the damage with a left hand. Hard right hand inside by Patterson. Gatti again doubles up with the left hook in return.
Patterson probably haven't noticed, but he's getting closer and closer to Gatti in these exchanges. He should exploit it a little bit more. He's not far away from him as before. Because Gatti is no longer giving him that distance.
And as round 7 comes to a close and Tracy Harris-Patterson fights with a little bit more freedom in there, you wonder if the distraction of fighting in front of his estranged adoptive father, Floyd Patterson, has begun to wane just a little bit. Well, we told you earlier there'd be more on filmmaker Spike Lee tonight. We want to remind you to join us December 26th for Real Sports with Bryant Gumbel. Featured in this month's edition, a look at Georgetown basketball coach John Thompson through the eyes of producer Spike Lee, plus an exclusive interview with Seattle Seahawks wide receiver Brian Blades, charged with 1 count of manslaughter in the shooting death of his cousin. Real Sports, the only show of its kind, and it's only on HBO. The Spikester.
At this moment, there's a new 130-pound champion. Tracy Patterson has to recapture his title, or what was his title, in the remainder of this fight. He has got to start throwing more punches and stop being the fighter with experience and start being the fighter, period. Harold Letterman, through 7 rounds, how do you see it?
Larry, I see it the same way you do. 6-1, 69-63, Arturo Gatti. Hey, I think Arturo's running away with this thing. Unless Tracy gets busy and starts throwing some leather, he's a goner. And I tell you something, this is ring generalship. Arturo keeps him on the end of that jab and doesn't let him get inside. That's ring generalship.
By punch stat numbers through 7 rounds, Arturo Gatti had landed twice as many punches as Tracy Harris-Patterson. So Patterson's got an uphill climb these last 5 rounds.
That's an awful thing to have your dad sitting at ringside not cheering for you like that. I mean, that's got to be a punch. 5 knockdown punches against you from the get-go. They shouldn't have allowed Patterson even to sit that close, although he's on the commission.
He's the chairman of the New York State Boxing Commission, George. He's required by his job to sit there, and he's also required by his job to be impartial and not to root for his adoptive son.
Yeah, that's why he shouldn't be there. He just shouldn't be. That is his son. Leave out the word adoption. That's his son. That's dad down there.
He did not come to the pre-fight news conference 2 or 3 days ago, which was taken in New York media as a slight against Tracy. Who knows what goes through the mind of a man like Floyd Patterson amid a familial dispute like this one?
It's one of those things like, I told you, son, I told you.
Hard left hooks by Gatti, one of them to the body, and he continues to dig away at Tracy Harris-Patterson's ribcage in these last 2 rounds. Patterson trying to step in and land to the head, but he hasn't got anything hard enough or stiff enough so far to turn the fight around. Hard right hand by Patterson landed right on the neck of Arturo Gatti, and for once Gatti bounces backward and doesn't answer back with the left hook.
But Patterson came back with a quick left hook that time. It wasn't a powerful left hook that he's been trying all night to land. It was a quick one. Right, left. Now he's got to take all the time to mix it back up with a jab, go to the body, and do that same thing all over again.
Right hand lead landed for Gatti. Backs Patterson up again as he says, uh-oh, another new tactic. Uppercut, combination. Gatti continues to be the aggressor as round 8 comes toward a close.
Now, Patterson got close for the first time. He got his shoulder to shoulder, and he took advantage of it.
You want to be in front of the guy, you don't want to wait for one punch. Okay. Is that what I said? If you want to be in front of the guy, you have to wait with combination. Jab. Okay? 9. 3 rounds more to be world champion. Okay. Don't take no chance. You're winning only round. Okay? Don't keep working. Okay? I don't want knockout, Arturo. You understand what I said?
Patterson needs to throw punches more than individually, and here let's see, he does throw a pretty good 3-punch combination, but he's got to do a lot more of that to seize command of this fight, to hold the title on top of his head.
That was a close look at Floyd Patterson.
Stay in the corner, Arturo. Stay in the corner, Tracy.
In round 8, Arturo Gatti threw 87 punches by punch stat numbers and landed 50. That's a 58% connect percentage as Gatti once again stepped up the pressure in the 8th. Good boxing match. Tracy Harris-Patterson stepping in closer, George Foreman, and landing with more authority.
Yeah, well, he bumped shoulders the last round, the ending of the last round, shoulder to shoulder for the first time. And if he can keep that up, he can get him a knockdown also, Patterson. But that Gatti is game. I mean, he is flashy. Looks like a champion to me.
Opening up with both hands again. Gatti willing to take a shot here and there in order to keep his own aggression.
His corner told him, don't take any chances. He's taken a few tonight.
His corner also told him there are only 3 rounds to go. In fact, there are 4. Just throwing and throwing and not giving Tracy Harris-Patterson any chance to become the aggressor for a continuous stretch of time.
That Gatti has been taking excellent advice. The corner has been giving him. He's taking the advice. Occasionally he sneaks in a body punch, just like his corner is telling him to do. That's great. Patterson just doesn't seem to have that communication with his corner.
You know, earlier, George, I pointed out that he's been in the ring because he comes from a fighting family since he's 8 years old. I have always thought that that counts, that somehow a fighter who starts that early has a presence there, that he's home in the ring. He doesn't get too overexcited by the occasion.
That's right, because the pressure comes from your dad and your brothers. Once you get past that, you can get in the ring and stand with anybody.
And he's handling the situation beautifully. Looks like an old-fashioned Garden fighter.
Round 9 is a clinic on boxing/punching by Arturo Gatti. Now, Patterson lands a right hand as Gatti misses wildly with an uppercut. That was his one tactical error of the round, but otherwise he's dominated it with combination punching.
The one thing for certain you can say, Floyd Patterson has taught his son how to defend himself in the ring. When you get hurt, what the instinctive things are to do to make sure that you don't get overly hurt or get into a disaster. Patterson taught him well.
Little fancy footwork for Gatti, setting up a lead right hand there. Tracy Harris-Patterson still calm, but seemingly well behind in the fight and not finding any pathways toward a possible knockout. Now Patterson backs Gatti up. Crowd beginning to root a little bit for Tracy Harris-Patterson. Can they lift him up in the last 3 rounds? We'll see. Meanwhile, earlier this evening, a New Yorker on the card, Brooklyn's heavyweight prospect, Shannon Briggs. That's Shannon in the black trunks with the unusual hairstyle, fighting here against a fighter named Calvin Concrete Jones, and he just about turned Jones into concrete.
Boy, watch when he reaches for the rope. That's when you really want the rope. 1, 2, 3, and it's a waving contest.
Briggs is regarded by many as the most promising young heavyweight out there. You can see he has great equipment as well as that mop on top of his head. He's from the same area of Brooklyn that produced Mike Tyson and Riddick Bowe.
And he's trained by Teddy Atlas, trainer also of former heavyweight champion Michael Moorer. It was a 54-second first-round knockout for Briggs over Calvin Jones. Round 10. Both men damaged around the left eye. Both men can still see out of their left eyes.
Patterson should understand that once he hits this guy with a good shot, he's always going to hit him back. So be prepared to throw one shot as soon as you hit him.
Problem for Patterson, the sheer pace being established by Gatti. George, he threw 93 punches in the 9th round.
And look at the footwork that he still has right in the 10th round. He's bouncing. Long legs. Good pace.
Answers individual shots by Patterson with 2- and 3-punch combinations of his own. Masterful performance so far by 23-year-old future star Arturo Gatti.
Gatti has been spending some hours on the skip rope. Look at that footwork.
There have been many outstanding Italians who have fought at the Garden. LaMotta, Marciano, Graziano. It looks like we may have another champion.
Jake LaMotta's here tonight, right, Larry?
Yep.
Patterson lands a good right hand, but he never tries to come back with anything.
Now here he comes.
Smile.
Tracy Tracy Harris-Patterson, sensing an opportunity, stepped in and threw a three-punch combination. Gatti getting hit now more frequently in the 10th round than has been the case throughout most of the bout.
He turned his body in an awkward position this time, so he's kind of confused with the power of Tracy Patterson tonight.
And Tracy starting to try to load up the right hand. Hard left hook by Gatti. And again, that sets off a flurry of combinations. Blood now coming from the area under Gatti's left eye. So the mouse under Gatti's left eye has been cut.
Gatti's actually confused, and a good body punch there by Patterson. Good body punch. Now he's got to take advantage of it. He just don't have a lot of rounds to go.
Middle minute of the 10th round was one of Patterson's best minutes of the fight. He lands a hard left-hand shot in there, and Gatti's starting to give Patterson a lot of opportunities. He's winging punches. He's leaving himself open inside.
Because he's hurt. But Patterson has been hit with a lot of body punches that holds him back now. He's got to go for it. Got to go for it now.
6 minutes left in the fight. Will Tracy Harris-Patterson get a chance to pull it out? He's working on setting it up right now. Round 10 comes to a close and the crowd rises.
No matter what coast you're on, they love that.
Why you need that, Arturo? 2 fucking rounds to win the fight. Why you need that, Arturo? You hand low. What? Arturo, you want to be a champion. You can do that shit. Believe me what I told you. Is that what I said?
Come on, wake up, wake up.
You win 10 rounds from 12. And you want to do that for what? He had to knock you to win the fight. So why you want to?
He can't stay with you. What's the matter? It's all right? Yeah, he's fine. Get some more water. I'm ready. All right, he's ready now. Give me the mouthpiece. Mouthpiece? Tracy, give me grease.
Second
Tracy.
down,
Good boy. Just go get him.
Jim, since he has followed his corner's instructions so well, I have to assume that his legs aren't all there, which is why he's standing and trading at this late stage of the fight. Harold, 10 rounds.
Larry, 98, 91, 8 rounds to 2, Arturo Gatti. But I want to tell you something, as big as Arturo's beating this guy, if he gets knocked out, he's got to blame it on Hector Roper in that awful corner. Percy Richardson, the cut man, should be in front of him, working on that cut on his left eye, putting pressure on it. Look at Gatti squinting. It's horrible. He doesn't see Tracy's right hand coming.
On the other hand, Al Gavin has done a heck of a job of keeping Tracy Harris-Patterson's right eye open. So only the 3rd time that Arturo Gatti has gone as far as 10, second time past the 10th round. Will he have the wisdom to try to limit Patterson's opportunities in these last 2 frames?
You don't allow your corner should never tell you to slow down and win a match because of the points you've already got in the bank. You tell a young fighter to stop fighting, he doesn't know anything else to do. So you got him out there as a sitting duck himself. You tell him you're doing good, champ. Keep your hands up.
So you'd like to see Gatti continue the kind of aggression that he sustained all the way through the fight.
His best defense has been his offense. You got to keep that offense going. Patterson has not been that accurate all night. He's reaching in. Why stop doing what you're doing unless you don't believe in your conditioning?
Punch output dropping for Gatti. Clearly, he is tiring. Patterson beginning to come on and find opportunities. Does he have enough left to score the knockout?
You got to understand that Patterson has been hitting the body with some good shots, so he's not going to be as strong as he looks to be.
2 fighters trying to gut it out in a very rough fight. A lot of contact on both sides. And Patterson continues to warm up. Gatti not throwing back now when he gets hit. And when he does, it's only 1 punch at a time.
I thought he wobbled Gatti with one of those right hands. Let's see if it affects him for the rest of this round. Less than a minute to go.
Gatti has got such good reflexes. Even when he's tired, he's quick.
Right eye closing for Gatti now as well. He'll have to fight the 12th from 2 rapidly closing slips. And there's a hard right hand by Gatti, his best punch of the 11th round. Left hook by Tracy Harris-Patterson. Gatti answers with a left hook of his own. They trade punches at center ring, and Gatti tries to reestablish his jab. It dominated the first few rounds of the fight for it. 11th round coming to a close.
Let me tell you something. Okay. Put that in his lap. Got it? Mouthpiece. All right, Tracy, you can knock this guy out. You understand? Yes. You ain't ever got to pull back. He's going to run. He's afraid of you now. His power is gone, okay? Yeah. Sit up. You can breathe. You ain't tired. Yep.
Oh, stop the work. This run, jab, and quick combination only. Quick combination only, and you'll be champion.
Help me on the side, Hector.
Okay. Okay?
Only this. Have you got 3 minutes in you? Let me do something. Well, then you get it.
Come on, baby.
Give me the whole 3 minutes, sir. Come on.
Everything you got.
Give me the whole 3 minutes. I don't give a fuck. You're the boss. Yeah. Come on. Smart. Be smart.
Yeah, block everything. Block everything. Block everything.
3 minutes to go, guys. 3 minutes.
Dramatic reversal in round 11. Suddenly it was Gatti whose punch-out could drop below 50, only threw 49 punches in the round. Patterson went up to 70. So Tracy Harris-Patterson has the fight going the way he wants it to go. Finally, is it too late? They're going to trade power shots down the stretch, George.
Patterson should have opened up like this 5-6 rounds earlier. You don't wait until a guy gets tired. You make him tired.
Tremendously entertaining fight with which to welcome you back to Madison Square Garden for big-time boxing after a 2.5-year hiatus. New Paltz, New York. Tracy Harris-Patterson trying to pull one out against Arturo Gatti, the transplanted Montrealer now living in Jersey City.
I can tell you Patterson is doing everything he can, but he's up against a young kid with a lot of bounce in his feet. Plus, he's got these instincts to get away from the hard shot. You got to shorten the punches up. Stop trying to throw the power stuff. Just let him go.
Tracy Harris-Patterson, so effective with combinations in the 11th round, is now trying to load the right hand and end it with one punch. That gives Gatti a chance to land a combination, but Patterson countered with the right, and Gatti wobbles again. Minute and a half to go. Hard right hand by Patterson. Suspense building as Patterson loads up a left. Gatti unable to defend himself now. Will it be another Chavez-Taylor? Will Tracy Harris-Patterson pull out an almost unbelievably improbable victory the way Chavez did against Taylor 5.5 years ago?
Patterson has enough time, but doesn't he have enough energy? It's been too much of a give and take. That Gatti is tough, he's strong, he's young. Looks like he wants to be the world champion to me.
He's also virtually out on his feet at this time, George, from exhaustion, and he can barely see through either eye, but he's hanging in, and he's got 35 seconds to go toward an apparent world title.
Patterson is waiting around for the hard shot when he should have just gone with a combination. Now it's Patterson who initiates the holding.
An exhausted Arturo Gatti getting a much-needed 6 or 7 seconds of rest there. You see the clock winding down. Crowd in the Garden rises to its feet once again.
Good fight. Good fight.
Well, earlier I said, Jim, the crowd has done its job, the building has done its job, the fighters did their job.
Yes.
Harold Letterman, your final card.
Larry, 116, 111, 8 rounds to 4. Arturo Gatti. I just thought he had a tremendous lead with that left jab. He boxed beautifully for the early rounds. When his left eye started to swell and it closed up and it started to bother him, Tracy came across with that right hand and grabbed rounds 10, 11, and 12 with good solid right hands. But early on, it was just too much Gatti. Beautiful boxing. I think the Canadian kid deserves to be the new champion.
I had it 115 to 111, scoring 1 round even.
And we're about to find out how the judges appointed by the New York State Boxing Commission to score the fight. Remember, there was a knockdown in round number 2. Gatti putting Tracy Harris-Patterson on the canvas with a right uppercut. If it's a close fight, that may ultimately turn out to be the difference in the scoring. Here are the final punch stat numbers. Tracy Harris-Patterson getting them to even up a lot in those last 3 rounds. Late in the fight, there was still a juncture at which Gatti had landed more than twice as many punches as Tracy Harris-Patterson. And we'll look at the jabs. You can see that Arturo Gatti threw 542 jabs in the fight, more than 40 per round. He came in his previous bout averaging less than 20 jabs per round. So a dramatic change in style for Gatti. Did it win for him? Let's go up to Michael Buffer for the official decision.
Ladies and gentlemen, here at Madison Square Garden, we go to the scorecard. Melvina Lathan scores the bout 115 to 112. Steve Weisfeld scores it 114 to 113. And Leroy Brown scores the bout 116 to 111 for the winner and new junior lightweight champion of the world, Arturo Gatti.
Mixed response from the crowd. Some of them liked the decision. Some of them didn't. Larry Merchant, what a way to welcome boxing back to the Garden.
A little bit of a controversy because there are so many Patterson fans here. But I think they're going to get to love this kid Gatti. We're going to see a lot more of him.
Action fighter. A little bit of the Jake LaMotta in him, huh?
Yeah, you know, there is something about Italian fighters who don't want to just stand back there and dance. They love to fight. It was bred in him, and he's brought to its fruition here tonight.
And still to come, our 200th prize fight to be telecast here on HBO, and the headline event of the evening, the one most responsible for selling 16,000 plus tickets here in the Garden, Oscar De La Hoya in his 20th